But then when I got to the feeding people, being around a table and having great conversations and creating memories and cooking and eating, I was like, oh wow, actually I should probably open up a restaurant. That sounds like a good plan.
That was Ike Shehadeh of Ike's Love and Sandwiches. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. In this podcast, Ike picks up where he left off in part 1. He moved back to the city from Davis and got a job in a market at 16th and Mission, where he'd often make sandwiches for himself. One day, a customer asked Ike to make a sandwich for him, and in a sense, it was the birth of what, years later, would become his business. After a slew of jobs mostly down in the peninsula, and at a sort of crossroads for himself, he opened a business on 16th and Sanchez up in the Castro. Fast forward from 2007 to today, and Ike has more than 50 sandwich shops in several states. We end this episode with Ike sharing his thoughts on the next few years we'll see here in San Francisco. Here's Ike.
All right, so I'll speed forward because I'm in college and I get kicked out or whatever. They don't allow me to sign up, and I didn't try to reapply and get again.
You're just I get it.
I used it as I was at a different place. I was in a relationship, and it was a long distance relationship because I lived in Davis and she lived in the Bay Area. And I was like, you know what? This computer science and engineering thing's not my thing. Like I thought it was, but it's not. I didn't like it. I remember on Halloween. So this is actually probably what changed my whole life. Halloween 1996. I was in the computer lab. And Halloween's a big day for Ikes because Ikes also opened on Halloween in 2007. So like 11 years later. So there I am. I'm in the computer lab as an 18-year-old. And instead of enjoying a Halloween in college away from home with all the parties that I hear going on, I'm in the lab, computer lab, like trying to pump out this one bit of code. And then at the end of the day, I like do it, and they close it at midnight. So I basically get told I need to leave. I submit it, like I spent all night working on it or whatever, and then I get like a C+ on it. A C++. Ayo. And so for me it was like, holy shit! I just wasted my Halloween. Instead of having fun, I did not have any fun, and then I got a C+ on it. So. And we were doing Pascal back then, so it was like, I just decided it wasn't for me. So that's why then I started taking creative writing and accounting, and I was like, what if I'm going to be in college and I needed to take my prerequisites anyway? I was like, I wanted to do that instead of messing around with computer science and engineering. And so that day, I was like, that's it. I'm done with computer science. I'm going to try to find something else. It's the end of my freshman year, so next year I'll just like try something different. Basically, I just messed around with my freshman year, and that's fine with me. Then they wouldn't let me apply, so I thought they did me a favor, or they wouldn't let me sign up for classes. They did me a favor anyway. I want to get into business. I really like, when I studied accounting, I really liked working the numbers. When I studied creative writing, I really liked how my brain would get creative. When I did drama, I really liked how the human interaction and things like that. And I just decided to start working in a supermarket on 16th and Mission. So the reason why I bring that up is, well, one, I ended up living there for like 8 years in the city, from like 98 to 2000, no, probably 2004, maybe 97 to 2004.
That's when you came back from Davis?
Yes, came back from Davis after not being allowed to go to school there anymore. And that's where I ended up refinding my connection to making food and making food for other people, like in a professional environment, in a selling environment. Because I'd be there, and because I was working at this business and ended up becoming a part owner of the business, 16th and Mission. It was called Mission Plaza Market. It's not there anymore, but next to the sandwich place.
Right.
And it's now called Mi Tierra Market, so it's still a market there. And I ended up being an owner there. And because I was an owner, I was there all the time. Like, here I am now replaying what my father did, where he'd go to work and be there all the time and work from the open to the close and then come home. So I was doing that now, 100% because that's what my dad did, and I learned it and also liked it. I had fun. Probably my dream retirement is a little bodega either in San Diego or Hawaii with a little sandwich counter that I'll run, and then like some shelves for me to manage and stuff like that, and that'll be like my 11 to 4 p.m. job, and then that's it. And I'll go home and relax and study or whatever on the beach or on the beach in San Diego or Hawaii. That's probably my retirement one day. Still selling sandwiches, maybe like Hero Loves Sushi, where I'll just be like, all right, we're only going to do like 12 people today, and I'm going to chop you up a sandwich and serve you. But because I was there often, I would, and there was a meat market there, I would buy meat from them, use the sauces and the spices in the store, and I would grill up sandwiches. And what happened is over time, like it would make the whole store smell delicious. You'd walk in, and some people would come in and be like, whoa, that smells amazing. What are you making? And I'd be like, oh, I'm making an ostrich cheesesteak. And somebody'd be like, I'll give you $10 for that. And I'm like, did the math. Well, I paid $3 for the ostrich. I paid 50 cents for the bread. Sure, I'll sell it to you for $10 and then just make another one, right? So, so I really...
That literally happened.
That literally happened.
Okay.
Where I'd be making a sandwich in 16th Market or 16th and Mission, in the store, in the market, and somebody come in and smell it, and then literally buy the sandwich that I was about to make myself. And so I'd sell it. And I mean, it really did smell delicious. I could totally see how you walked in and you were hungry. You're like, I'll give you $10 for that. And this was like 98, 99, 2000, 2001. And that would probably happen at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Well, and that's a version of coming in here.
Yeah.
For me, at least. Today,
Right.
It's like, okay, wow, it smells fucking awesome in here.
Exactly. So
Whatever it is they're making, I want.
that was happening to me a couple times a week.
Okay.
So later on, when the guy who owned the market, he decided he wanted to retire the meat market in the supermarket that I had. So he had a meat market. He rented from me. He went out. He decided he wanted to retire. So now I had this full deli case, like longer than this. Maybe not longer than the shop, but like pretty freaking long. And I was like, hey, every time I cook, somebody tries to give me $10 for a sandwich. So let me try opening up a sandwich shop. And I opened up. I was there for probably 30 days, and I opened up. And my deal was, this is in 2001, was you get a sandwich, chips, and a canned soda, for $5.
Whoa.
And 2001,
Even then, unheard
and
of.
I would have like 45 people at lunch come in. So the reason why it only went like 30 days, maybe 45 days, maybe 60 days, I don't really remember how much time I did it, but because I was like, man, that's a lot of work, having a line out the door and then at the end of the day for $5, like I'd make like $200, but then minus, my profit was like, oh, I just worked my ass off for like $50 for like 8 hours or something like that, which I mean, it's not so bad, but after taxes and then after whatever, it was like a lot of work for not a lot of money. And but I will say that experience allowed me to know, well, I took for granted the fun that I was having when I was making sandwiches for people. And years later, in 2007, when I decided to, probably 2006 when I had the idea again, in 2007, so like 5 years later, I was like, you know what? I wasn't factoring that I was having fun. I was just factoring in the money. And I remember this quote from Napoleon Hill. And he says that if, at the end of the day, at the end of your work, if all the value that you get from the work that you put in is the amount of money in your paycheck or your pay envelope, it doesn't matter how high that number is, you're still underpaid.
Right.
No matter what. So then I started going, oh, well, okay, I really love to make sandwiches. I enjoyed the talking. You would come in and like, oh, you love a garlic salami sandwich? And this is where dirty sauce came in. Is this gentleman came in, and he asked for a sandwich. He wanted a salami sandwich, and he said, but what I really like is a salami and cheese sandwich, but made on garlic bread.
Okay.
Do you have garlic bread? I'm like, no, I don't have. We don't sell garlic bread here. But I looked at my spice rack, from all the days in Davis, and I go, well, I have garlic powder, I have boom, 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 and I had butter. I was like, oh, I'm gonna put butter, microwave the butter with the garlic powder in there, pull it out, brush it on the bread, melted the cheese, melted the salami, made him a sandwich. So I did that, mixed it all up, and sold him a sandwich. He left. He came in the next day and said, man, that was the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. I want the same thing, salami and cheese on garlic bread. So because he said that, I made him another one, and then he left, and he said it was the best sandwich he ever had in his life. This is 2001. I go, I'm going to make myself one. So I made it, salami, the garlic butter thing that I made, and I took a bite. And I said, man, that was dirty. And that's where dirty sauce came from, and that's where dirty sauce got its name from. Because back then, me and my crew, we used to say, like, bad means good back then. Dirty, for us, meant good. And so that's where it came from. So if it wasn't for that guy coming in and asking for me to get creative and making a garlic bread sandwich for him at my sandwich place, even though it was very short-lived, like probably 45 days, somewhere in that range, dirty sauce wouldn't have also been a thing.
Okay.
And so that all happened 16th and Mission,
all
2001. Right. Dirty sauce was invented. So this market on 16th and Mission, right around 2004, let's see, there was some, I don't want to say economic crash, but like over the time, I think we were, who was president? Bush, the second time, and we were, that 9/11 happened, and I remember, so, like I said, my parents are Palestinian descendants, they grew up Muslim, and when that happened, even in the city like San Francisco, like people would walk by, and we'd have our trash can in the they'd dump the trash can in the store, like, screw you, go back to where, like all these things. And keep in mind, I was born here, and maybe I looked super Middle Eastern. These days, I get people online saying what's the thing that people don't like right now? I'm a white male and, a capitalist, right? I wouldn't consider myself Caucasian. Not that there's anything wrong with being Caucasian. I feel like I'm Palestinian and descendants of immigrants that literally came here. Like I'm first generation here. But like back then, I don't know, it was really like anti-Arab and things like that. And,
even, like you said, even in San Francisco.
Yeah, even in San Francisco, where people would come in like, screw you, we're gonna like I'm gonna catch you after work today, like stuff like that. In San Francisco and all that stuff. I mean, this was happening way before the current presidential administration and that whole Islamophobe stuff. It was like that.
It was right after 9/11.
It was right there during 9/11. So slowly but surely, business went out of business, and on April 12th, 2004, we had these gates like we have here. We closed up the gates. I closed it up, and I decided that I can't do this anymore because I was working 20 hours a day for like $20. PG&E came in, shut off our power, said I didn't even have power, and I closed it up, and I lived in the back of the store till I got basically evicted by the landlord for not paying rent on this market.
Right.
So what happened, that was 2004. So from 2001, 2004, the business closed. And so I was working 7 days a week because I was really committed to having fun, making money so I wouldn't ever have to like sleep on the floor again, and having food. And because I used to live off of like $3 a day in food, factoring those times in 2004. And I wouldn't want to ever be there again. So I worked like I became like a workaholic. And also like relived the working 7 days a week on 16th and Mission at my own market. And then what I noticed is working 7 days a week, I could do that, but I liked it more when I owned the business. Even though there was dates to get in Victoria's Secret and BB, and I ended up becoming a bartender later on, and then selling real estate, or not selling real estate more specifically, and working at Trader Joe's too. Even though like I really enjoyed the human interaction with people, which is like a real big part of Ikes, and one of the parts that makes Ikes amazing is that we really love working with the person at the register to help them find the best sandwich possible. Like I made that garlic bread sandwich for that guy whatever year, in 2001. Same thing, it's like you come in and you want whatever it is you want, and I want to get you the perfect sandwich. So once I saw that, wow, okay, I can work 7 days a week, it had nothing to do with that. It was more, I thought I didn't want responsibility, but what I really wanted was being passionate about what I was doing. And I wasn't necessarily passionate when I had the supermarket.
Right.
I liked the business aspect of it, but running the register at a supermarket on 16th and Mission was not, it was very small times was fun, and the rest of the time was rough and tumble.
Well, we've already heard hints of it a little bit in your stories, but what is it, or was it, about sandwiches that you're like, this is what I'm going to do?
I made a list, actually. So I made a list of knowing what I knew, starting a business, there's often, my experience especially, was there's going to be a lot of work in the beginning, and it's not necessarily going to balance out with the amount of money I'm going to make. So when the time got tough, I wanted to make sure that I was doing something that I love to do so that I wouldn't quit. I didn't want to start I knew I wanted to start a business, but I didn't want to start a business and then not make any money and be like, oh, screw this, I'm going to go back to selling bras and panties, because at least that was fun. So I was like, well, what would be fun? Because I was working at Victoria's Secret for $8 an hour, but I liked it because it was fun. And then I'm getting raised because I was having fun, probably because I was having fun. If I wasn't, if it was just there for a paycheck, I likely wouldn't have got the raise. And same thing at BB. I was working on commission, and I was the highest volume person in our store and sometimes in the whole district because I was having fun, making people feel great and stuff. So I made a list, and it was 37 things on the list. What I would do, quote, for free, what I love to do. Essentially, the prompt to myself was what I would do for free, what I would do and not give up if I didn't make any money doing it, because I knew it was going to be a while. And on that list was stuff like snuggling baby animals. That was definitely on the list. I love snuggling animals, and you wouldn't have to pay me to snuggle them. I would to snuggle them for free. I had feeding people on the list. I had coming around a table and having conversations and eating together and laughing and having
general
fun.
thing.
It's
not
list.
very specific.
It wasn't
okay.
I didn't make a list how can I make money. It was, what do I love to do? And from that list, I then went to myself, okay, well, what would, if I was going to make money doing any of these things, how would I make money? So, and I had some creative things, for the baby animals. I was like, oh, it's the beginning of the internet. I mean, it wasn't the beginning of the internet, but blogs and stuff wasn't really big. I was like, I could just Google zoos around the U.S. and when's a baby panda going to be born or a baby cheetah, and just fly there, and then take pictures with it and write, hey, by the way, I'm here in Atlanta Zoo and they just had a baby orangutan and here's his name is whatever his name is, and take pictures and do a blog like that. So I literally found a way to make money doing everything. But then when I got to the feeding people, being around a table and having great conversations and creating memories and cooking and eating, I was like, oh wow, actually I should probably open up a restaurant. That sounds like a good plan. And then when it came to, I should open up a restaurant, the reason why it ended up becoming sandwiches was one, I love sandwiches. Two, I had these recipes already in my head for sandwiches. And the third part was, if I opened up a sandwich place, say instead of a sit-down restaurant or a fast casual restaurant or whatever, is I wouldn't need servers and tables and all these other, and host or hostess, and I wouldn't need all these things. I figured, I used to run that other sandwich shop by myself. It would just be me. I'll take your order, cash you out, ring you up, wash up, make the sandwich. And so I figured it's something that I could do by myself, wouldn't need a large place, etc. So Ikes became a sandwich place. Actually, let me flash forward just backwards 2 months. Ikes initially wasn't a sandwich place. It was a cafe, and the original name for Ikes was Ikes, good-looking sandwiches, great-tasting people. That was the full title. But the person who made the sign, the artist who did the same, those legs on Haight Street that hang out, the guy who made the original sign, back to the drawing board, his name is Barry, and his lovely lady, he was like, no, we can't make, that can't be the name of your place. Do you know how that, how's that even gonna look? So he actually named it Ike's Place. He's like, let me put together a logo. And so at Ike's Place, we had a full espresso bar. We were doing brown rice, we were doing rice milk and almond milk and soy milk all at the beginning. Because I was like, what if somebody doesn't want soy milk? What if they want rice? We did breakfast. And in fact, in the beginning, Ike's would always be busy. Ike's Place was always busy for breakfast only. And then for lunch, nobody showed up. And for dinner, nobody showed up. We were an ice cream shop. We sold milkshakes. We got our ice cream from Polly Ann's, which from the Sunset, I grew up in the Sunset, 7th in Noriega or something like that, maybe 39th in Noriega. So I really enjoyed their ice cream growing up. So we sold that. We sold sandwiches. We sold salads. And we had vegetarian and a couple of vegan items, maybe 2 vegan items when I opened. And then 10 vegetarian sandwiches and 26 sandwiches. And then the reason why Ikes ended up becoming a sandwich place, original Ikes, if you went to the one on 16th and Sanchez, the original one, is it was 400 square feet with an 80 square foot ADA bathroom taken out of it. So we didn't have that much room. So over time, people, once the reviews started coming out and newspapers started coming out and Man vs. Food and all that other stuff started coming out, we didn't have room for anything else. So we just literally morphed into a sandwich place. But originally, Ikes was like a cafe where you can come and have a nice date or a morning coffee, have a milkshake for dinner or for dessert. And that's what Ikes was. But it became a sandwich shop solely based on that's what we were selling. And the last thing that left, well, first thing, I got rid of the salads first of all, because I was like, if you're going to come to Ikes, you're not going to go, oh, 5-star salad. No, so I got rid of the salads. If you wanted a salad, I'd make you one. But I really wanted you to get a sandwich, because that's what made Ikes unique. And then the last thing we got rid of was the ice cream, because we sold so much ice cream and so much milkshakes, especially at night in the Castro, that the only reason why we got rid of that is we just needed more room to make sandwiches. And so thus, like around 2009, Ikes became a sandwich plate only.
Is that when it became Love and Sandwiches?
No, Love and Sandwiches came way later, and that was due to all those lawsuits, and everybody was suing Ikes Place. So we just created a new company, and we didn't want to also get locked up in a lawsuit, so we changed the name. But the name came from Love and Sandwiches in 2012, because anytime I would do an interview back then, which I was doing a lot, because I was getting kicked out, and I was in, like Fox News, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all these things. Everybody was interviewing me for all these things, and I was just like, no, we're only amazing because we love and we care about every single human being in here, apparently except for the neighbors, and I think I already explained that before. Like, we love everybody so much that the neighbors didn't like that, or I forgot to also love the neighbors, that it just happened that we sold great sandwiches and it amplified it. But if we didn't care about you, the wait was 3 hours long. If you came up after waiting in line for 3 hours, and then you still had to wait like 30 minutes for your food afterwards, and sometimes an hour. Sometimes we'd have waits of 8 hours long. That if we were assholes, you would have never eaten at Ikes ever again, no matter how good the sandwich was, right? But because you came up and I was like, oh, hey, Jeff, what would you like? Oh, you want like a garlicky salami sandwich? Oh, man, I got this sandwich called the ex-boyfriend. Oh, yeah, don't worry, it's named after all of them. And it's got cheddar cheese and bacon and salami like all melted together, and then avocado on there, and you'd be like, holy jeez, I want that. But like, because I cared about you in the moment, didn't matter that there was another like 1,000 people behind you in line, because we'd serve like 1,200 to 2,000 people a day.
Jesus.
Like,
okay.
You felt loved. And then at the end, and then I'd be the one that bring you the sandwich. I'm like, hey, Jeff, here you go. Here's the ex-boyfriend. This is what you got? Great. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that you came in. And that whole thing was like, you're like, oh man, screw this. I'm never going to come here ever again. But then you ate it. You're like, whoa, it's good. And then also the service was amazing. So of course you're going to tell people. You might temper your like, okay, well, I'm going to come here not hungry. Or I'm going to come here not hungry and then eventually become hungry, right? Or plan your day or call ahead or whatever. But that's why Ikes became what it was. And then, so that's why we changed the name to Love and Sandwiches. And then we put my face on the logo because people kept asking, are you Ike? Are you Ike? Are you Ike? Are you Ike? Are you? And instead of being like, okay, yeah, just look at the sign. Yeah, I'm clearly Ike. So we put the face on there. And then we saw immediately when we put the face on there, and there was 4 Ikes at the time when we switched, maybe 5 Ikes at the time we put the face on and changed the logo to Ikes Love and Sandwiches. There's probably 6 Ikes at that time. Immediately over those 6 Ikes, other than the San Francisco one, which was always super busy, but all the other ones had like an immediate 25 to 30% increase in sales. And what we believe is that people were already anthropomorphizing their experience, and now they had a face to attach it. And then there was also love in there, so they're like, oh, wow, that's why I love it so much. And, of course, I'm a freaking handsome devil, so that also helped, too. And then so that's been the name since.
I want to wrap on your take. Are you optimistic, I guess, is the thing that I'm kind of trying to get at for San Francisco?
When I opened up Ikes, I didn't live in San Francisco because I couldn't afford to live in San Francisco. I lived in San Mateo. I would commute every day, and my goal at that time when I opened up Ikes was to do what I love to do, check. To have food in my stomach because I'm not used to that, check. To pay for my rent, check, and to have gas in my car so I can go back and forth to work. Check. Those 4 things. Very, very, very low standards. But once as I was being inspired and doing things at Ikes, and I wasn't making money for a while, like there'd be days where I'd sit there and it'd be 10 p.m. at night, and I'd already be working all day, and I'd just put my head down for a moment, and I fell asleep, and I'd wake up and it'd be like 3 in the morning. I'm like, I didn't mop, I didn't sweep, I didn't prep for tomorrow, and I'm like, oh my God, my life sucks. We made $200 today, and minus, I probably made $20, and been here since 7 a.m., and now it's 3 a.m., and I slept at a table, and I still have to do all these things. So one of my dreams, ever since I was priced out of San Francisco, and I was priced out of San Francisco in in 2004 when my business was gone, was I want to live in San Francisco. And I couldn't afford to live in San Francisco even when I had 3 jobs, working at BB and Victoria's Secret and Trader Joe's and selling real estate and all that. But my goal was to live in the city. So I was like, what value do I need to bring to the world to be able to make enough money so I can afford to live in San Francisco? Because that was my goal. I didn't come from the space of anything other than that. So then I open up Ikes, and it ends up being able to afford to have me allowed to live in the city. So I wanted to preface that because the next thing I'm going to say is I feel like right now all the stuff that's going on, whether it's because of financial reason or beliefs reason or political reason or restrictive reasons or whatever it is, or not wanting to be around a lot of people during pandemic reasons, I feel like right now what's going to happen in the next few years is everybody that actually is committed and wants to live in San Francisco will find a way to make that work for them, whatever that looks like for them. And that's what's going to happen over the next 3 years. And in fact, if anything, I feel like the city's going to get only better because only people that want, there's not going to be any, and I don't want to judge anybody out there, but the people that are here because out of convenience or whatever that's happening around tech-wise, political-wise, all that stuff, if they're only here for that, if their only reason for living here is not an intrinsic value, it's all extrinsic, they're going to leave, regardless of they can afford it or not, regardless of if they think that this is a great city to live in or not. They're going to leave because a lot of people just solely base their lives on extrinsic value.
And we're seeing that.
Yeah, right. And so in 3 years, it's going to be like, if anything, like, I don't want to say true San Francisco, because it's still true right now. It's just morphing into becoming a more, I guess the lack of way to say it, I think I said it already. The people that truly want to be here no matter what will end up staying here. Because I know I couldn't live here, and my goal was to live here, and even now during all these things, I'm still here. I bought a house even though I couldn't afford to buy a house 10 years ago or 8 years ago or something, and I had literally put every penny in my life savings to buy this house and overpay on a house because if I don't buy a house 8 years ago, I'd definitely not be able to afford one right now. Like I can't afford a house here. I could maybe get in a little condo or something, but I made that my goal. And I did whatever it took, whether it meant like I wasn't going to go out to eat for 3 years because I can only, luckily I have Ikes, so I can afford to eat at Ikes, and I can trade like Ikes gift cards to, other businesses, which thank gosh, like Ikes is a value that I could do that. But I made that sacrifice, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to do that same thing, whether it is to stay here or do what they love or continue to do. And if not, they'll find their niche somewhere else, and it could be in a place like Austin, where a lot of people are going, or even I love Bozeman, Montana. It could be all this stuff, and there's great opportunities for people everywhere, and there's still great opportunities for people in San Francisco right now, even if today you can't afford to live here.
That was Ike Shehadeh. We're taking next week off, but on the next episode of Storied San Francisco, you'll get to know photographer Marcel Turner. Please join us for episode 46 on January 4th. Until then, happy holidays, and please be safe. Music for Storied San Francisco is by Otis McDonald. Photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. The show is hosted and produced by me. Michelle and I have produced more than 140 episodes over the last 3 years, and you can find them all at our website, storiedsf.com. While you're there, please check out our store, where in the month of December, we're donating proceeds of all sales to Supply Hope Info, a new nonprofit helping students with distance learning. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where you can like, comment, and share the stuff we put out. Find our shows just about everywhere you can listen to podcasts, including most recently BFF.FM's new podcast network. Please subscribe to stay up to date on all the content we publish. We love feedback, so if you have any, our email is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay strong, stay safe, wear a mask, and stay healthy.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.